showtime.
Good morning, Vietnam! Welcome to the party, pal!
See you at the party, Richter!
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
Get away from her, you bitch!
I'll be back.
I'll be back. You did not gonna say that, did you?
What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
The dude abides.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Inconceivable!
Little dollar smoothie pass.
This is a tasty burger.
Please.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
I'm the bad guy?
And Hulk, smash.
I can speak with an English accent.
Hit the hash pipe and join the National Guard. I could be elected president.
You went over my helmet?
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex? I know, right?
The list is in the open!
Hey, where are the white women at?
They're digging in the wrong place.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Are you not entertained?
Second start of the ride. And straight on till morning.
Meow.
You son of a bitch.
21 gigawatts!
Wax on, wax off.
Oh my goodness, I am sporting a tremendous Woody right now.
Bartender is the aristocrat of the working class.
You want to flip 6-3 whole play and you could score.
Cover me.
Dogs and cats living together, fastest terrier. On this team, we fight for that itch.
Might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
No ticket.
No ticket.
I get older, they stay the same age.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. He's 15.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Hope is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. And no good thing ever dies.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my hetero life mate. Oh, my feelings. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I just realized that half of the world is actually going into Easter Sunday right now in the movie we're covering. It's just fun.
It's as if we planned it.
I know, right?
What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie, watch it, come back to us, and we break it down for you this month. On Easter, almost. We are covering, well, it is a hell of a month. Anyway, it is a hell of a month. And on a hell of a month, we watch movies, or we cover movies that are very much dealing with the devil. So happy Easter to everybody. Good Friday was yesterday. Easter Sunday is this Sunday, correct? Yes, good. Easter Sunday is almost upon us. So all you Christian fellows enjoy it because, man,
Look out for that.
I have no idea.
Eggs. We're like, still don't get the connotation. I love how Dogma threw that. They're like, how do they get that? It's a bunny lays eggs. What?
Robin Williams had it the best. Like, how does Jesus have to do what they have to do with chocolate bunnies and eggs?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Enjoy your holiday, and let's get on with the show. Right, we were not here last week, so everybody had a rest. I had a little bit too much of a rest. Hey, if you followed the channel,
passed over last weekend.
Yes, time has passed over me, and I actually was out most of the days. I was working half a day, and then I came home and did something out with the kids. So not a lot of work has been done on the channel, which is a little bit suffering at the moment, but have to do some stuff with the kids when it's like sort of like our Christmas-ish. It's the same kind of feeling, but not really. It's very difficult to explain. It's definitely not Easter. So we had a bit of a break last week because of a certain Jewish holiday that I personally do not enjoy, but the show must go home. And this week, we're talking about Devil's Advocate. Now, I think we talked about Devil's Advocate in terms of where to put it, because on my feelings, we talked about doing an Al Pacino month, maybe stuff to do with like courtroom dramas.
We also talked about Keanu Reeves month at a certain point in time, but now we kind of burnt a lot of the best of his, as we talked about backstage, honestly. But now it was a very difficult place to put this film. But as soon as you mentioned, like, oh well, if we want to do a heaven and hell theme or like a devil theme, like we just put the Devil's Advocate in there. It's a perfect film.
Yeah.
To talk about. And also Al Pacino is just chewing scenery. He has 2 monologues in this movie which are just fucking fantastic.
You know what my wife did while we were watching this movie? During the rant, she sewed a new bag. And I was like, I didn't have the heart to tell her not to do it. It's like, I want to listen to this rant.
The first rant about Eddie Barzoon is still fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, where was the first, like, have you seen this movie in the theater or not? This is 1997.
Oh no. I was only 13 when this movie came out. So that was a definite big no. But my parents rented it from a Blockbuster the following summer. And because my mom was a big fan of Al Pacino. And I was like, okay, so we watched that, and then it was just like, I've seen boobs in R-rated movies, so it wasn't a big deal. Yeah. But still, Con Nielsen, thank you.
No, not for me.
Not for you.
I said it again today. No.
Again, hey, pale redheads, my kryptonite, as always.
Endlessly on very long phone calls that we had during.
Yes. But also too, what's great about Connie Nielsen too is she was actually speaking Italian.
Oh yeah.
She speaks notes. 7 languages, so it's just like
I have notes.
Yeah,
I have specific notes about that one. All right, let's say hello to the chat. Let's scroll back here. Evening, Kaladin, Juliet. Good morning or good afternoon, Keely Chow, Kalikioki. I don't know which part of the world you are. I'm guessing U.S.-ish. So, sorry. Good afternoon to all of you over the Atlantic, and good evening to all of you around Europe-ish. And if someone from Australia is awake, Feckless Finn, she's not here. I don't think she's here.
I don't think Finn's here.
Good morning to you too, and a happy Easter Sunday. Let's get on with the show. Let's do it with a little segment we call Behind the Screen.
Sound production, take 2.
Incorrect.
Sound production, take 2.
He's back from a week break. Give him a break, everybody. It's okay.
I saw the Minecraft movie. My brain is all mush. My boy enjoyed it.
Review. I hated it.
Oh. Shit.
Oh, it's bad.
All right. Before we give some chills because of good chills, let's get on with the show. Behind the Screens is where we turn to me and get the lowdown on everything behind the scenes, production, all that good stuff. All my feelings. If you do have notes that you have,
I have some minor bits that I can add. So
yeah. All right. Cool. Yes. All my feelings is stateside.
Yep.
Andrew Niederman wrote the Devil's Advocate book back in 1990, and already his publishers, Simon & Schuster, already thought about, pushing him to try to get a deal to adapt the novel into a movie because they thought it was worthy of a movie. Andrew himself actually approached Warner Brothers and had a sales pitch. In the sales pitch, he said, well, look, it's a law firm that represents bad people who are actually guilty and they never lose.
Yeah.
Which is one of the greatest pitches I've heard. It's just before you read anything, and then you read the script. However, the original script or the final script had so many iterations. There were so many things that was like they put in, they took out, they changed stuff, they moved it farther away from the book, and then they move it a little bit closer to the book, and then they decided to move back away from the book. There were a lot of screenplays, scripts, actually, which actually made it hard to get a good casting because the original director was Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
Now, this is Joel Schumacher pre-Batman and Robin.
But post Batman Forever, so he was still like,
No, not even post Batman Forever.
Oh,
this
really?
was 1993.
Oh,
This
okay,
was
okay, all right.
Falling Down, Joel Schumacher.
Okay.
Got it. And he was set to direct it. Kind of started pre-production. Brad Pitt was attached to this as the Kevin role, as the Keanu Reeves role.
That could have worked. Yeah.
But they did not have the devil role. So Milton was not cast. They couldn't get a decent actor to be in the role. And then it kind of fell apart from there, essentially. And then the OJ trial happened.
Yeah.
And
Mark Furman. Thanks, you asshole.
Yeah. And after the whole OJ case happened and such a big reverberation in Hollywood, essentially, not only in Hollywood, but you know what I mean. They hired the actual director, which is Taylor Hackford. Now, before Taylor, for a brief moment, Sam Raimi was kind of in the works of doing this project, but eventually it fell off.
Now I'm only laughing because could you imagine in the dressing room scene if it was like the like the Deadites from Evil Dead 2 popped out of the dress?
I'm telling you, Milton as Bruce Campbell or Bruce Campbell as
Milton
could work. Let's just say it could work.
It could work, but it wouldn't be as menacing as Pacino.
No, it would be funny.
Yeah, it would be funny as shit. Funny. Especially him being like, I'm a fan of man. Like, yeah, you are, Bruce. Yeah, you are.
Yeah. We love you, Bruce. We love you. All right. So the whole point is Taylor Hackford kind of moved it in towards the, the courtroom is some sort of a gladiator ring where things get settled, but also it's a sport. Again, very much influenced by the OJ trial, where it's just a big spectacle and that kind of draws people in. Yeah, even though if you watch the movie, it's not a lot of courtroom drama. Not a lot of it.
But it explains how the vanity side of sin affected Kevin Lomax, because given the popularity of the OJ trial, like if you were in the United States when I was a kid, there was coverage of that on every major news station. Even your local stations were doing a coverage of that every day, every hour, all the time.
Yeah, we actually got it over here. I had a cable channel that broadcasted Jay Leno, The Tonight Show. So every 10 p.m. before I went to bed, I watched a little bit of Jay Leno, and Jay Leno's monologue always opened up with at least 5 OJ jokes. A joke about the judge, a joke about the prosecutor, a joke about OJ himself. I was enthralled with it. Anyway, so
trust me, the American people were
over
enthralled with it. Like everybody knew about. Like, if you were alive at that time, there was no way you could escape hearing about the OJ trial. Ever.
And the only equivalent to it is maybe the Menendez brothers trial and the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
I would say, in modern parlance, the only one that would be kind of equivalent to it would be the Johnny Depp trial.
Yeah.
Only because they made such a big deal out of it. And it was so blatantly obvious that Johnny really didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, Tony Gilroy came in and did a lot of rewrites to Lemkin's sort of, we'll say final draft, but it wasn't really final. But his draft, he got in and he was the one who added the whole free will motif, because they always had Hackford, Taylor Hackford did bring in sort of the inspirations from Dante's Inferno and and Lost Paradise and
Paradise
all these
Lost.
different books. Paradise Lost. Sorry,
that's gonna be the major thing is the big difference between the book and the film. Full stop is the overt references to Paradise Lost and even John Milton's name.
Yes, it's literally.
He's the author of Paradise Lost.
Of the book. I have it. The notes about the changes are just. Let me finish. Okay. And when Gilroy finished, other unnamed writers made a few more changes after that, but they're uncredited, unnamed, so I have no information. One of those changes was Kevin being Milton's son.
Yeah.
That was not Lemkin and not Tony Gilroy.
Correct. Yeah.
So, change. Kevin was Milton's son in the movie. It is definitely not in the novel. Kevin is offered to sire the Antichrist with Christabella. That is not in the novel. That is a change later on.
Mm-hmm.
The I don't want to say it on YouTube. It's so disgusting. The PDF file that Kevin is defending at the beginning of the movie and at the book end of the movie.
Yeah, it's completely different because it's actually a story about gay sex.
Yes, it is specifically lesbian sex, and they didn't want to offend the gay community, so it just written off. By the way,
they made him a bear who likes kids. Put it that way.
Like I said, a PDF file.
Yes.
No, there he is, Corn Pop. We missed you, Corn Pop. All right. So, because of all these different changes and drafts and scripts, Al Pacino was originally sort of approached. He rejected it 3 separate times because every time they send him a new script with some changes, and he was like, "No, this is too corny and too predictable." That's what he said. And then the final changes were done, and I will do this. But before that, Richard Gere was considered as Milton, which fell off right away.
Yeah.
But then Kevin Spacey was up for the role of Milton, and I was like,
okay, I could see, especially just in a couple of years later, he was Kaiser Sose.
Yeah. So, yep. Exactly. So it's in the ballpark, but we got Al Pacino, and also we have to thank Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves rejected the role in Speed 2 and a salary of $11 million to play Kevin. Then, additional to that, to what he got offered as the role of Kevin, he took a pay cut on top of that in order to make room for Al Pacino's salary, which was a bit heavy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Keanu, good guy Keanu out there as always. Yeah. And also too, come on, Speed 2, it's a boat. It's a boat, man. Come on,
dude. I would take that pay cut too.
I mean, because if really
not being that
kill my career, I'm gonna actually do a good role instead, and I'll take a pay cut.
Exactly. Which, to be fair, it kind of you remember we talked about The Matrix. This role kind of landed him the role of Neo, but yeah. Connie Nielsen was cast because she actually spoke about 5 different languages.
Yeah.
And also, she was cast after being in the States for about 30 days. Connie Nielsen is from
Dutch.
Denmark. Yeah, not Dutch, Denmark.
So she's from Denmark. Okay.
Yes. Craig T. Nelson was hired especially against his type because Craig T. Nelson is coach.
Yeah.
Yes. And they thought about it when they casted him because he was such a good guy in kind of everything that he did. So having him being the sort of, we'll get to that in a minute, but sort of that role of being the villain is,
that's one of the more interesting character takes too, because again, as a kid, seeing him as coach and then him grabbing Keanu, was like, you better be as every fucking good as he says you are, boy.
Exactly.
It's like, Coach,
what the hell are you
what
doing?
happened to you, man?
I believed you were innocent. Anyway, so filming started in New York in 1996, and almost immediately they had delays because the original cinematographer and the assistant director both were either fired or quit because of Taylor Hackford. Now, we have conflicting reports here because Pacino noted that Hackford was being loud and obnoxious and very hot-tempered. However, every other producer or executive producer from the studio said these are like over-exaggerated and blown out of proportion. And it was just, too much for rumor mill and hearsay and all that stuff.
So you
I
think
have
that
no idea.
maybe Pacino just had a problem with him, and so he just got him.
Exactly. Now, he did finish the entire thing. However, it is so weird to think about that because a lot of the scenes where we had Milton and Kevin together, especially when there's no one around, like extras. I mean, like in the building, especially when he shows them the first kind of, he goes out into the terrace and there's no guardrails and all that stuff. That is, some of it is actually improvised.
Improvised?
Improvised. Me no speaking English.
You speak English, yes.
Me no speaking English. No, improvised, yes. Both Keanu and Pacino. Pacino, I get it. Keanu,
not so much. But again, always the setup and payoffs are great in this movie. We'll discuss them more as we get to the movie.
If we get to them, it's a 2.5-hour movie. All right,
there's a lot you can burn through real quick. Though.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot.
I know. There's a lot you can burn through. Okay. So there's a moment where Kevin walks out into an empty New York street. We will talk about that, the meaning of it when we get to it. But essentially, it was done on a Sunday at 7:30 in the morning. And this was actually 57th Street. Now, if you've been to Manhattan, around that area, that is a very, very, very busy street.
Yes.
When I was in the States, almost exactly 1 year ago, I lived on, I didn't live, but I stayed in 58th Street. 57th Street is very busy. Like, very, very, very busy. It's really close to Central Park. It's really close to Columbus Circuit. It's actually really close to Trump Tower, which there's a connection.
Yeah.
And it's super busy.
Yes.
Where was it? Okay. The moving mural that Milton has in his office was done with people who were in ballet.
Yes.
They were dancers. They were naked for the shoot. Apparently, they didn't mind. And it took about 3 months to shoot the entire sequence. and do the morphing and do the rendering and prepare it for actually being a cut version of what you see.
Well, and there was that big controversy behind that too.
Really? I didn't have that in my notes.
Well,
okay.
Well, they tried to sue the studio because it was reminiscent of Ex Nihilo, which is an art piece. The way that it's formatted in the sculpture, very much so. In fact, they had to, in the subsequent actual home box office releases, like VHS originally and then DVDs.
Yeah.
Actually, to put that in as a special note at the end of the credits.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. And also, same company that did that also did the morphing of the fallen angel, kind of Lucifer, the fallen angel thing, where the rendered face kind of looks like Keanu at one point, but also kind of looks like Al Pacino.
So like, it looks like a mixture of the two of them put together.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the reasons is they took Keanu's face, but also Pacino's face from The Godfather specifically to get that effect where it's where is it Keanu? Is it Pacino? It's trying to sort of emphasize the fact that it's a father and son thing again, where they kind of look alike, but not really. Two more things. One, when Eddie Barzoon is running, there are 3 joggers running after him. One is wearing red, one is wearing kind of gray white, and one is wearing black. This is to mimic the 3 of the 4 horses of the apocalypse.
Yep.
The 4th one is actually Milton himself, because he's wearing these green, not super green, but green, dark green clothings. It looks like a robe, but it's not really a robe. And he is the 4th horseman.
See, I thought it was supposed to be the other one, where the opposite one, where the jogger that ran past him and bumped into him was supposed to be the 4th.
I had to look back and see.
No,
that jogger had a sort of a blue sweater, not blue sweater, a jogging sweatshirt. And Charlize Theron was really apprehensive of actually doing a full nude scene after she rejected being on Showgirls a couple of years prior.
Good decision, baby girl. Really good decision.
I mean, if you want to say her nudity is tasteful and serves a specific point to show, like
the actual the assault that was done to her by Milton, yes, it makes sense.
Isn't that stigmata when you have cuts all over your body? Is that called stigmata?
I thought stigmata was supposed to only be where you actually have your punctures in your hands or your wrists or in your feet, because it's supposed to symbolize the wounds of Christ.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You guys in the chat can tell.
It was like some severely rough sex they had.
Yes, but only suggested. You know what? I have a couple more. Sorry, one more to tie in with the whole Trump thing. Alex Cullen was kind of modeled, but not really, after Trump. Trump back then. Okay, the real estate Trump.
Well, I was gonna say it was also really funny at the party at Eddie Barzoon's, where he's like, "Well, Trump was supposed to be here, but he had another engagement."
Yes, that's.
So it was just like Trump's in league with the devil.
I'm not going into politics here. However, Alex Cullen's apartment is actually in the Trump Tower, and it's one of the most luxurious condos you can get there because it has 2 floors in it. The reason it was chosen because they wanted to have the most garish, the most outlandish apartment you can have. And what's better than a golden toilet? And also pillars inside your apartment with gilding all over the place.
Like, why would it? You're not a Roman emperor.
I can never get that. It kind of looks like the inside of Versailles for some reason.
I was going to say it looks like a Versace nightmare, but that works too.
I mean, the palace Versailles in France. Yeah.
Yes. No.
So it's
I've been to it before. Yeah.
Even Tony Gilroy said that room is so garish you want to throw up. I don't like golden stuff. It's not for me.
I don't want to throw up, but
I don't want to throw up.
I kind of want to just be like, so I'm just going to take your plumbing and just pay some people's bills for the next couple of years. All right.
We'll put that aside. I just thought there's a lot of okay, Alex Cullen is definitely modeled after a lot of these New York real estate developers. And the first guy you think about is Trump. And then they mention him in the movie, which I forgot. I was like, okay. And then they show him in the apartment. I was like, I'm pretty sure. And then I went to do the research and I was like,
she's like,
of course.
Of course.
It's just, a little bit fun. And yes, one of the issues, and even in the pitch, Niederman went to what I said. It's not just a law firm. It's specifically a New York law firm that represents guilty people.
Well, but
and they always win.
It's based in what would be considered, as Lomax's mother refers to as the New Babylon. And it's also just how this is the center of what would be considered the world at that time for commerce. So that's why they have all those international divisions. So having it based in New York is kind of this whole thing where it's kind of putting up this Tower of Babel thing almost.
Yeah, and they do reference it. Kevin's mom references it, the Tower of Babylon, the whole what happened. Yeah. And it kind of is mirroring Milton because Tower of Babel is vanity, essentially. Vanity gone wrong. So vanity so over the top, it just crumbles in its own wake, right? It's in its own path.
It's so much in its way where it's like almost the tale of Narcissus, where you fall in love with yourself so much you bring about your own ruination, and that's kind of the story of Lomax in a way.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Corn Pop. Trust me, bro. Just enjoy the show. Okay.
Before we actually get to the movie, and we got a lot to talk about, let's play the first game.
All right. Cool. I'm up for that.
I'm
up for that. I just need to share my screen, but it's not this. All right. Cool. First game of the night. Let me share my screen first. No, you know what? I'll do it later. You know what it's called. It is Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off. We display them, and you guys in the chat will have to guess which movie this is, and All My Feelings will help you. This week is...
I'm Kathleen Turner Overdrive.
Kathleen Turner?
There's a band that makes a song that's a reference to this movie. That's why I mentioned it. It's
okay. Fine. Big Trouble in Little China. Thank you, DK. Thank you. Very easy. This is a little bit harder.
This one's a terrible movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
It's about a nuclear weapon on a train.
A nuclear or nuclear? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It also has like the reunion of Eat Me, Beat Me Lady and Christian Slater.
Correct.
It is correct, Kalikioki. It is Broken Arrow. This is the safest of the posters.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. There's a tits in your face kind of a poster, but yeah.
They're all good.
You got it. Kalikioki and Gambit. Disclosure. Correct.
Oh, I know this and I hate myself for knowing it.
When I saw this poster for the very first time, I thought, is this a new Rachel Weisz movie? And I was like, no.
That's Dakota Johnson. And also, if
it is Dakota Johnson.
Any further reference, just look at what color is it?
Oh, people know this one. Come on. It had a couple of sequels, and it made the author extremely rich.
Yes.
And she is still dumb. It is 50 Shades of Grey. This is very easy. Just say what's in the picture.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's Baba versus Baba.
No, not any Godzilla movie. You have to be more specific.
Godzilla is in the title, not once but twice.
Godzilla is in the title. Godzilla is in the title.
And DK's got it. It's Godzilla versus
Mechagodzilla. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Oh man, we have to cover this movie at one point in time. Man, we really do. That and Legend, but like,
I do have a theme for it, which also involves the never-ending story, but it's in the future.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
If
you were 80s, you would love these movies. Be like Beastmaster, Legend.
Yeah, no. I mean, like it's a Jim Henson kind of a theme.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Without the Muppets.
Yeah.
Juliet's got it. It is Labyrinth.
Now, which one is this? Is this the original?
Original, yes.
Okay.
I thought this was the second one, but this is actually the original.
Which is City of Angels. Well,
City of Angels, yeah. Crow is correct. This is one of like 4 different promotional posters that they had, which is great. No, Corn Pop. It's not Dusty Birds or the Birds. Come on. This is something. Yeah. This is something we could put in a month if we didn't use Devil's Advocate. We could use this, My Cousin Vinny, and Devil's Advocate in the same kind of lawyer month. It is The Firm, correct, Gambit?
Even though it is kind of a military film, I would actually want to do
Rules of Engagement.
Rules of Engagement, Pelican Brief.
Yep.
Or oh god, I just forgot the name of the movie. You Can't Handle the Truth. A Few Good Men.
We need to talk about it.
Yeah. Sam's got it.
Is something about Mary. There is something about Mary.
Oh, this movie is so bad. Oh,
I love this movie.
I love you, Nicolas Cage. Everybody knows that, but man, this movie's so bad.
Jay Baruchel getting to be with a girl that is also above his league.
Also,
in another movie.
Well, no, that's Kaladin. You got part of it.
Kaladin. It is not The Apprentice, but it's Apprentice is in the is in the name.
That game has got the rest of it. Sorcerer's Apprentice. Yes,
it is, of course, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Dude, Alfred Molina and Nicolas Cage in the same movie is finger licking good.
All right, Gavin Rossdale, calm down.
Oh, yeah. Finger licking good. All right, cool. So we start with this girl that I don't know the actress's name, but
that is Heather Matazzaro, who plays Barbara.
She has a very unfortunate face. She's not ugly. She's not ugly. Wait. The unfortunate part about her face is when she got older, she's about what, 42? Not right now.
Yeah,
she has the same
she
face.
Is your age. Yeah,
she has the same face as she was in this picture. Sorry.
It's just the way that you phrased it is the meanest possible way I've ever heard. Anybody be like, "Oh, bless your heart." It's like you have an unfortunate face.
The unfortunate about it is that it looks exactly the same now and in this picture.
Well, given you have to give her her due though, as a child actress, I thought she's fantastic.
She was in a lot of stuff.
She's in a lot of stuff in the mid-90s.
In bit roles. She wasn't a lead in everything. She had that. I think she was a friend of Anne Hathaway in The Princess Diaries, and she was a friend of somebody else. And she played a lot of grape victims in various movies. All of them with a Southern accent. I don't know what it is. I think it's called typecasting.
Well, maybe she was from the South and she already had an inherent Southern accent. But anyway.
So the whole point is she's on the stand. There's a trial. The guy standing on trial was her teacher. She was left back. Then she was touched. And the prosecutor is sort of like, okay, I got this man. And Kevin, while the testimony is happening, he can see his client doing stuff underneath the table that kind of gives him the idea that I'm defending a guilty client.
Yeah, it was very, very true.
Yes. And the whole point is he asked for the judge for some sort of a stay, a recess, and he goes to the bathroom.
And as he walks away, he has to be like, right now, because Getty's going, what are you going to do? You're supposed to defend me. He's like, well, I would, as your lawyer, I would highly recommend you stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole point is he has this sort of a crisis because he doesn't want to defend this guy. And he knows he's going to lose. The most important thing here is not I'm going to defend a real nasty individual. The whole point is if I defend him, I win, and he walks and he continues on doing this stuff.
And he could do what he does again, yeah.
On the upside, I win, though.
Yes, and I keep my permanent record of constantly keep winning. But he also has that one bit where he has the member of the press in the bathroom with him saying like, hey, nobody wins them all.
Yeah.
And it played back several times throughout the film. This whole film was about setups and payoffs, which is like one of the reasons why I really want to discuss it with you, because I know how much you love that concept in film.
Yeah, and when you know if you know the ending of the movie, you're like, oh, I should have picked up on this a long, long time ago. And a lot of these setups and payoffs, if you haven't seen the movie, you're watching this show, do yourself a favor. We've already spoiled it, but that whole reveal at the end, and then he goes bit by bit explaining to him how he didn't set him up in a trap. He just put stuff in front of him. And let's just say he put a cake in front of him, and he wanted to see if he'll eat the cake.
It was all about, it's all about free will. That's what
it's all about free will.
And yeah. So the whole bit is they have the whole thing about the special places game and how basically they're able to undermine Barbara's credibility as a witness because she may have coerced her friends into giving false testimony. So then basically got the guy
walks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course they have that little celebration, and during the celebration he gets approached by this individual. I think his name is Keith, but I don't remember.
No, his name is Lehman.
Lehman?
Yeah.
No. See, I didn't even listen to it. And he says,
no, his name is Heath, though. So
his real name is Heath?
No, his real name is Reuben Hudson, but the character's name is Lehman Heath.
Okay, so Heath.
You're fine.
Anyway, he approaches him and he says, well, we up in New York, because it's not Florida. It's like, we kind of looked at your record and you're really good at picking jury. So we want you to come up like upstate and pick a jury for us. And we'll see what happens. And the first thing is like,
he thinks
it's a practical joke. Yes. But then he figures out, no, it's not really. So the next day, he shows up at his mom's church and he tells her about it. And she tells him that New York is a den of scum and villainy. Not in those words, but I love the whole Mos Eisley kind of
a hive of scum and villainy, not a den. Huh? Who's quoting your favorite movie and you're misquoting it, huh?
Shut up. Shut up. It's my goddamn Star Wars. Anyway, she says to him, don't go there. It's filled with debauchery and a lot of godless people.
And the reference to Babylon and stuff.
And the also, reference to Babylon. And also...
there's the character setup where she never really quite approved of Marianne. And Marianne is clearly aware of the fact that his mother does not like her as a person. No. So...
And then, of course, we have to speed things up. So Kevin walks in. He sort of seemingly has that intuition about the jury, and he gives his sort of expertise in it. And the guy is like, I love it.
Who
are you?
He has the balls to like, I know you're some little big shot down in Florida, but who the fuck are you gonna like? If you're gonna go with this word, I'm gonna walk. And then Lehman looks at him and goes, well, then walk.
Yeah.
Fine. I guess we'll go with yours.
And of course, everything works out perfectly. So he gets an offer to actually stay and do some criminal law, because apparently this entire firm
didn't have a criminal division, which makes no fucking sense. That makes no sense with how much they deal with.
And the whole purpose of him being there is the fact that they have a business wing, an international wing, and this wing and that wing, but we don't have a criminal wing.
Like one of it had maritime law, where I'm like,
yeah,
you don't have a criminal wing, but you have maritime law. Okay.
I'm jumping to this scene. This was absolutely insane.
The only is the first part about that though was already showing the fact that Lomax had Kevin had a little bit of kind of moral ambiguity, because he said that when he talked about the Getty case with Milton right there, he said, well, I'll put it this way, I began the case with a clear conscience.
Yeah, and Milton's like,
okay.
And
he even confided in Milton right off the bat, like there is a certain point at that courthouse where I could stand and I could actually overhear the jurors deliberating.
I think he said he there's a hole in the wall in the bathroom or something.
Yeah, but he could hear them talk, and that was the whole thing where it's like, but this whole bit was great. That the entire setup with even though Lomax doesn't really know him, and Milton even asking him about his mother makes a little bit sense, but he's starting to grill him more about it, where you're going, maybe there's something more to this, again, setup and payoffs.
Yeah. And to be fair, when I saw this for the very first time, I didn't even think about, why is he asking him about his mom, how he grew up and all that stuff. It seems kind of off, because he's like the big boss, right?
Yeah.
He looks at Lomax, he looks at Kevin as sort of like a hired gun type deal, where I'm hiring a proven winner. This guy has not lost any case, not as a prosecutor, because he did start as a prosecutor, and definitely not as a defender. I need this guy because he's a hotshot lawyer. There's also a point where his sort of not is paralegal essentially. They don't say paralegal, but essentially his paralegal is like, okay, we can get you rushed through the whole bar thing.
Oh, Pam, like moving through the motions, yeah. Which we're gonna talk about Pam later, but yeah. but we also have that bit that the setup and payoff of that where they had the bit where, wait, are we negotiating? Always.
Yeah, always negotiating.
And money, money is the easy part.
Yeah, when somebody says money is the easy part, you really want to step out and look at their morals in any, like, I mean, in real life. But when you see it in the movie, you're like, okay, if money is no issue, then something else is terribly off. Yeah. Terribly off. And in also, one way or another. In one way or another.
Just one bit on that last scene when they're on the terrace there without the balcony, which by the way would have freaked me. I would have lost my shit.
Yeah, me too.
But with Milton saying to his, whenever it was mentioned that about his mom, he goes, "Oh, as I see you walk as a lamb amongst the wolves."
Yes.
Like, sorry, I'm paraphrasing that, but it gets repeated time and time and time again, and that's when the realization comes at the very end of the movie. So, seven payoffs. Yeah. So then we go to this opulent. I wouldn't say apartment because it's basically half a building.
Yeah, it is an apartment building, but Milton owns the entire building.
Yeah.
And the higher up you go in the building, the closer you are to Milton, right? And they're living on the sort of second, third floor of this whole building, which Eddie Barzoon lives the closest to Milton, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's sort of a.
No, but he's on the 11th. I think Barzoon's on the 12th, where they have the terrace, and then Milton's at the very, 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 very top.
Yeah, the whole point is
like they are on a floor with 2 apartments in it and a giant New York skyscraper. Do you realize how expensive that would be?
Yes. I actually know how expensive that would be.
Insane.
Yes. Back then, around $9.5 million. Do the math. I'm not even joking.
That's like what?
Back then,
60?
about 9.5.
60 to 70 million?
They say it's a street away from Central Park.
Yeah.
Which later on you see Eddie Barzoon running. I was there on that road. I walked that road. That fence got changed into they took off that fence and changed into something else. But I walked that. Those buildings that are right across from it. Do you remember I think I showed on the show the picture of me in front of the Ghostbusters building?
Yeah.
That's where it is. Those apartments are extremely expensive. We're talking 20, 22, up to $30 million for apartments that in those places. It is insane.
And those apartments are only like a quarter of the size of the one that they just gave him. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. So the whole point is him and Mary Ann are in this apartment, and already Lehman's wife is messing with Mary Ann. Already, before they started with the whole color change and Milton coming in and approaching Mary Ann.
Tamara Tooney, who plays Jackie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, could she not play the most like the perfect passive aggressive bitch? It's fantastic. The color schemes
disgustingly good. Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't like you as a person. That means you're doing your job as a villain.
Yes. So they started to mess with her on the first day. It is so disgusting.
Well, yeah, because especially even when they're walking through, we had it painted white so you can choose your own palette colors, dear.
Now,
colors, you fucking idiot.
Before we move on, because I want to jump in ahead a little bit. We're jumping into the first test because Milton said to Kevin in one of their talks is, okay, doing your job is one thing, but doing it under pressure. Is a different thing. I'm mentioning it now because it comes up later on, and this is the first test. We're jumping into the first test. Is the Santeria guy. Now, they do not say voodoo or Santeria or black magic.
I would have to think it would have to be more voodoo, just given the fact that he's obviously Haitian, given the fact that he has a French accent.
Yeah, but
and a French name.
Do you know what Santeria is?
Yeah.
Okay. Essentially, it is the same thing. It's a mixture between Catholicism and local voodoo black magic kind of a thing. It's not just, local beliefs or whatever. It is sort of a mixture between all of them.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here it comes. I'm not going to go into that, but essentially Kevin is given the first test, and how does he wiggle from this whole?
It's really not that. Well, and honestly,
conundrum?
too, even when I was a kid, it was like, well, he's just practicing his religious rights. So technically, that's provided under protection, right? I was a kid when I watched this movie, and I'm like, yeah, that's something that he should be legally allowed to do because he's not trying to serve the meat or anything. So
nope. It's ritualistic sacrifice, essentially.
What would it matter? So yeah. So and he that's exactly what he does. He finds the exact court case, and he under the stipulation, and he actually has a I love the fact that it was a sorry, I'm gonna get this wrong. Is it Harisha? The law, the Jewish law that he brings up in the court case.
It's kosher law.
Well, it moves the kosher law, but the actual Jewish term for it, I don't. It doesn't matter.
He says it, and it's probably correct. The whole point is, before they go to the trial, he picks up a tongue and turns it. It's a cow's tongue, and he rolls it, and it has that sort of a spell. And yes, the audio is gone for me. Yeah. I have no idea. It's all good on my end.
I said reset, DK.
Refresh the stream. Anyway, so the tongue, he does the old tongue twister thing, but it's actually correct. There's actually, we'll call it a spell, but there's actually
a hex.
Yeah, a hex. That's the word I was looking for. It is a known kind of a hex. Even the Sicilians have something similar. Mm-hmm. And it's not called voodoo. It's just called something else. But it's also a mixture of Christianity and, paganism. We'll call it paganism, okay? As a general term. Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. So, and the weird part is the judge is literally Jewish because Kevin was prepared for it. Yeah. So he not only found the code that allowed him through
he found the hacks. He's like, well, tell you, like, this is going by your laws, by your doctrine. So he was just practicing his own religious beliefs. So I don't know why he's on trial right now. So I'm calling for dismissal.
Yep. And this is the talk where Milton says under pressure. He's like, okay, I've tested you. Now can you do the same thing but have way more pressure? And during the entire Alex Cullen saga, there's always moments where if you think about, okay, his wife going insane because of him, and then every time she asks him to stay, he has to leave. either Pam takes him away, Pam takes Marianne away. There's always forces at work.
Constant testing of where his true concepts and allegiance really lie. What is behind the man?
Exactly.
And it's always where Kevin fails as a person there. And it's only at the very end he realizes how much he has failed.
And the whole point is, and I'm not sure if it was in that talk or the talk after that, he mentions the fact that you need to let people know that they don't know where you're coming from. It's like you have to be sort of underneath everything. They do not want to see you coming. If they don't see you coming, you can manipulate them, you can outsmart them, you can move them around to your will. You can bend them to your will.
Which is so great because it's actually part of the Roy Jones Jr. fight they see later, because everyone thought that Jr. was going to lose that fight.
And that fight was an actual fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was set up so perfectly.
Yeah.
But the other thing about that was there are always these subtle little intonations that Milton is more than he seems. Because during that walk and talk, he even says, "No one ever thought I was the master of the universe."
Yeah, he says that. And I was like, wow, that was way too much on the nose. But
yeah,
maybe
then it also sings like, "Well, I'm the surprise. I'm the hand up Mona Lisa's skirt." We're like, that's a good line.
That's a good line. To me, the whole point is you don't know if he's actually, if you see this for the very first time, you see Devil's Advocate, you see him acting a certain way, saying certain things, and you're like, wait a minute. Is he the devil and Kevin is the devil's advocate? Because Kevin is not actually Milton's lawyer. He's just employed by him. So is Alex Cullen the devil's advocate? The devil? Is it the guy who killed the goat?
Well,
you don't even know.
The concept of the devil's advocate is just who is the one who is be the proponent of evil. And technically, like, even if you were to remove Satan from the allegory in this story, it would still be Kevin Lomax, being the devil's advocate, because he got 3 people who are guilty of committing crimes off while you watch the show. I mean, yeah.
And I showed it for a little bit. That whole point of in Eddie Barzoon's apartment, where Kevin is being whisked away to hobnob with, senators and congressmen and all that stuff. Oh, you have to meet this guy. Oh, you have to meet this guy. Mary Ann, who said to Kevin in the elevator, do not leave me alone.
Yep.
The first thing he does, he leaves her alone.
Bye.
And in swoops in Milton and is like, okay, you need to wear your hair up. You need to have to change your, cut it short. You need to go back to your natural color.
The whole setup too. What was the worst bit too? Where she set up, where she's like, immediately she opens up with daddy issues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I told Kevin the only thing worse than not having a father than was having mine. And what did he say? I can relate.
Yeah, it was like, again, also, with these subtle lines.
Too, by the way, with her hair up. And I love the fact that he looks over and goes, I love being right.
And to me, I was like, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know what is happening and who Milton is, you're like, maybe he's just a creep and want to get to her pants. And I'll get to one thing that I put in my notes, but I saved it. There is a deleted scene from that party. The deleted scene is Marianne, after this conversation, stumbles on to a threesome going on in one of the rooms in front of several people, sort of like Eyes Wide Shut, but without the masks. And they offer Mary Ann to join in, which kind of scares her. And when the party finishes in the morning, you see her a bit pale. That is the explanation why she is so pale. Not because she's like, oh, he left me alone.
Oh. Well, when she would. Okay, so when she's down, when she's drinking the whiskey by herself, that kind of. So she's trying to drown out what happened then. Because there was a bit where he's on the terrace with Christabella, and they have the conversation.
Yes.
And, well, anyway, moving forward, we got a lot of moving to go to. Let's go.
No, I'm move forward. I'm skip over the whole.
We get to his actual penthouse where he goes. Well, where does he sleep? Who says he sleeps? Where does he fuck? Everywhere, like
everywhere. Yeah.
Come on, man.
But this is where they get the call about Alex Cullen.
Yeah.
This is the most important. That's why I actually stopped here. This is where they get the call about Alex Cullen, and Milton's like, Kevin's my guy, and Eddie Barzoon is like, why?
The big thing was right off the bat. It goes like, how many billable hours did we have for Cullen last year? Talks to Lehman like 16,800 hours.
Yes.
They're charging $400 an hour.
Look, 1,600 hours means that he has his main lawyer plus 4 or 5 other lawyers.
He has a whole team behind him.
That are just doing research. So first chair, second chair, plus 3 or 4 more doing research.
Yeah.
Insane. I just want to mention, this is why she's drinking and she is so distraught. It's not just because he left her, but because she experienced something that she's never experienced before, which is totally off her.
Well, that makes
game.
Again, that makes way more sense that if they would have kept the scene in her turn, because before she seems more rational, where she's upset with the way that things are going, and which makes sense because she had most of her time with her husband outside of him doing his job, but now his job is almost his life now, and she has nothing here. She mentioned before to Jackie, like, this is the first time in my life that I haven't had a job, or I had nothing to do.
Yeah, she is used to be on the go all the time. Plus, she's used to being in Gainesville, where it's a different pace, it's a different rhythm. Plus, it's less debauchery. Let's just call it that, okay? Or at least, let's say, out front debauchery. There is the subtle, what happened with the teacher and all that stuff. But yes, it's not something that she's used to. Plus, she has the daddy issues. And then she comes across a full-on threesome that she might be a part of if she said yes.
Yeah.
That's the main difference between Mary Ann and Kevin, to my humble opinion, is she gets offered the same kind of temptations where she has the decency to say no, and Kevin does not. Now, I don't mean sexual temptations. I mean every kind of temptation. It's like every step of the way, there's a moment where Milton says, stop, go take care of your wife.
Well, no,
or
that was
stop,
during the Cullen
we can
case.
take you off this case. Don't worry about it.
It was during the Cullen case at the very end. Like, no, what I'm going to do is I'm taking you off the case. He says, I'm going to take you off the case because Mary Ann's sick. You need to take care of your wife. You love this woman, right? You do?
Yeah.
Then take her off. Then I'm taking you off the case. And what did he say? Don't. Because I'm afraid if you do, she gets better, I'll resent her for it.
Yeah.
And that is a setup and payoff on its own.
Yeah, because Milton throws it in his face at the end.
Yeah.
At the end rant. But not only that, there are a few moments in the first test case even where he says, well, maybe this one is not yours. And he turns around and he looks at Milton with like disgust. What do you mean?
I would say like,
it's not my time.
to throw even the best kind of, you just use a lot of lawyer speak now, full contempt.
Yes.
But the other thing that was great too is just the bit before this where Marianne goes shopping with Jackie.
The naked boobies thing.
Jackie and also it was Eddie Barzoon's wife. And
I can show. Wait! You can't show this. Well, I can show this.
Can't see it. Show a lot of it. That's fine. but the whole bit was like she actually got to see behind the facade, and I think that was kind of her not being able to reconcile it mentally between what is real and what is the supernatural there. Because she's a human. She's not half Satan, basically.
Yeah. I want to get to a point. Can't show that. Can't show that. Well, this is after the face. Anyway, so she puts on the gown, and then the face got revealed because either they were messing with her or they couldn't hold the facade any longer. It just was too much. And because Marianne is, I don't want to say a virgin, but her name kind of suggests Mary, you know?
Yeah, she is. She's not exactly.
She's
a virgin,
an innocent. We'll call it
pure,
an innocent.
Yeah, she's not exactly like morally bankrupt as everyone else around here, and I think that's where it is. Where
she kind of freaks out and takes it out on Kevin, but then they have that whole bit where
this conversation, because I think every failing marriage has this conversation where like, yeah, let's have a baby because that'll fix it. That'll make us all complete if we just have another little life to take care of. Yeah, that works all the time.
Kind of sounds like you know what you're talking about, but we'll leave that alone.
I don't have any kind of resentment.
I have no resentment at all.
I have no resentment at all. Shut up.
Sorry, I had to. So the whole point is they're having sex because, you know, they haven't even been together for a while now. And then he gets the visions where he's fantasizing about Christabella. And at some point closer to the end, it was like, she looks at him, is like, where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you? And he's like, I'm here. It's like, no, you're not. It's like, you're not. And yeah, he was sucking her toe. And I would think if I was her, I was like, you've never sucked my toe
before? Like,
what the fuck are you doing?
Where did you pick this one?
Yes. Is this a new party twig? I want to get to
the meeting with Cullen. Was the most important thing about that was,
yes, I want to get to this insane,
because Jesus, what the
drives me crazy. This is way over the top.
That's
like,
what it is.
Like I said, it's very garish. It's way over the top.
Like the pillars are not that bad. It's the gold standards above and below them. Where
that's
like,
what I'm talking about.
What the fuck?
It's called gilded, like not sofa. It's the gilded chair that he has there. It's like, oh, that's very 80s. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah, that's way too much. Like
yeah.
That's something that I think
you throwy uppy. Yeah.
Honestly, you know what? I think that Patrick Bateman would be justified in walking in there and be like, "Yay, hit to be squared. Let's murder some people."
But of course, we get a little visit from Mom. It's like, oh, this is Mom's first time in New York.
It's like, this is not your first time in New York, is it? And she doesn't say anything, looks at him, and Lomax is like, no, this is their first time. Oh, well.
Yes, Kalikioki, you asked, and I will answer. That is one of the luxurious apartments. It's a it's a 2-story apartment inside Trump Tower. Yeah. Was hired for, I think, a couple of days as well. For that one scene, because why not? Because why not? I think Tony Gilroy was like, I hated that place, but it fit with the character so much. It was too perfect. And that's the writer of the script. So it's like,
well, because again, if you look at all of the major characters and the antagonists, they all personify a certain kind of aspect of one of the major deadly sins.
Yes.
And Cullen's is obviously greed.
And lust, essentially.
No, Getty's was lust.
Getty's was lust? Who was envy?
No, well, they only
look, Eddie Barzoon is gluttony.
No, I would say Eddie Barzoon at the end was envy. Because he envied Lomax.
He envied Kevin? Lomax?
Yeah. Because Kevin was going to become his replacement.
Oh, right. He was on the fast track to being a partner. It's like, why do you have partner papers? It's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because everything was working behind the scenes for Kevin. Kevin was just like this freight train moving forward. He wasn't even looking up behind him. And that's one of the reasons why Marianne was distraught, because she was essentially run over. Mm-hmm. This is the only temptation Kevin does not, go with.
Well, the Cullen case, that's an entire different conversation. Well, why did you come up and talk to us?
Upstairs.
And you got Christabella making out with the Asian French ladies. Like, yes. I see what you're doing, Dad.
Yes, I see what you're doing. And the only reason why he refuses the temptation is the presence of Mom and the very, very angry wife.
Yes.
Which she essentially accuses him with cheating on her.
Of cheating. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. And of course, in the morning, Mom is like, I have to leave. And the real reason was, she recognized Milton essentially immediately. But she didn't have the heart to tell Kevin at all. And at the time when you see this, you were like, she had enough with the whole, she kind of realizes who Milton is. Not from before. I mean, if you're watching this for the very first time, she's like, okay, Mom figured out that this is way too much for her. She's going to go back because she's not used to this high pace and unchristian-like behavior, and it really unsettles her.
Yeah.
But then you realize the story behind the story when the movie ends, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. She just didn't want to hurt Kevin because it's a big secret. It's a huge secret.
And the way that it's played off too I thought was really done well, because how they made Kevin Milton's son was perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
especially how he's sitting and everything. But anyway, so we get after that, after he has that, and what's great too is in the interim. Now, this doesn't happen so much anymore, but it used to happen all the time, especially in the era of, again, the O.J. Simpson case and the Menendez brothers case back then, where the press would actually follow the lawyers to try to get
the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was kind of a big case because for Cullen, I mean, he's a multimillionaire and all this stuff. And also he's been in trouble before, but he was working late and talking to his assistant, Melissa, right?
Yes.
And he walks by Eddie's office and see them doing a late night file shredding.
Yes, I kind of skipped over that. The whole Eddie Barzoon story really starts from that point where Eddie he sees Kevin pops through the door, and immediately he's like, first of all, this is the new guy. Second of all, I don't trust him. And third of all, I don't want to be looking bad in front of my bosses, to essentially.
Yeah.
And he's
So
like, don't talk. He tells him about the Weaver thing, which
a little bit of the Weaver Commission and conversations about that, but he ends with an almost ominous, "You never saw this."
Yes, you never saw this. And Kevin is like, well,
And
like,
as soon as that happens, Milton walks by and goes, "Ding ding, motherfucker! I got ringside tickets. We're gonna go see the fight tonight."
And they go see. Isn't it?
And of course, Don King would be in league with the devil. Yeah.
Isn't it?
This makes sense.
Isn't it too on the nose for Don King to
so
realize?
It was so perfect.
Isn't it too on the nose for Don King to be in the movie about the devil and he's in league with the devil?
Yeah.
Didn't Don King knew what was going on? He would never have agreed.
I don't
never
think
ever.
So.
Unless
don't
it's
think
a reverse joke.
Maybe. But all I know is even as a kid, as a boxing fan, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense.
So then they go to the whole flamenco club thing, which we have to mention for a little bit because you and me both, we said it when we were backstage. I saw it, and as soon as he got up to dance, I was like, hoo-ah.
Little son of a woman, hoo-ah.
Yeah, a little bit of a hoo-ah, a little bit of a son of a woman thing. And my wife looked at me funny. I was like, come on, he's dancing again. You have to give me that. And she said, fine.
It was really, really funny that the bit too that we talked about backstage was like, oh yeah, all of those are unique flamenco performers that they had never worked together before. It's like, oh
yeah.
It's kind of like, so you play Spanish flamenco guitar and you're marambas and you're okay, we're gonna throw you together and just see what works.
But I want to touch upon this moment, the half dream, half hallucination, where she does mention to Kevin that her sister
was pregnant again.
Like she has two sisters, and both of them have 7 kids between them.
And one of them just got pregnant again.
Yes, and she's like 44, which means they're pretty fertile in her family, and she's not. That yearning for the baby, that yearning for the family, kind of I'm not going to go too much into that, but really kind of gives you into that, sends you into the direction of, oh, it's family, Christian values, maybe conservative values. I don't want to go into politics. It's not what I'm saying, but more of the opposite side of the devil, as we say, more of the good guys.
Well, no, it's more of the fact that in this nightmare, it's taking away what she wanted.
Yes,
because she just wanted to have a baby, and that's, I think, should have been something that they had established way earlier on in their marriage to begin with. But anyway,
and then of course they have that talk where she says, "Well, I went to the doctor," where you don't see it in the scene, but she does mention it. I went to the doctor, and like my ovaries are like done. Like she even says that my ovaries are dead, and he's like, "What are you talking about? What are you?" It's like he went into a buzzsaw conversation without knowing any information because he does not see her day to day, literally. And of course, she tells him, "Look, we can't have a family, and it's me, it's not you," essentially. But and without saying it, she says, but I really want to. And it's just another sort of building into a crescendo where everything kind of falls apart.
And it was during this conversation too, where there was the other test, where he gets the call.
What does he do? And he leaves.
He takes the call,
and he goes out and speak to Cullen about that whole.
Listen, no, I just heard the fact that your ex-wife, who got shot in the face,
yes,
was having a conversation with one of her girlfriends, and she said, "I think he's cheating. We have your prenup on file. If you got find out that you're fucking somebody else, that disqualifies your prenup. She gets rich."
And Cullen's like, so? It's like, it's a motive dummy.
For murder, you idiot.
And this is the point where you're like, oh, Cullen's a good guy because all he wants is to actually have a relationship with his stepdaughter. It's not even his daughter, it's his stepdaughter.
Yeah,
and like, it's like the government is denying him and all that stuff.
That actress is Monica Keene. She has been in several different things.
Okay.
2 of which we're good.
2 of which were
besides this movie. One was Undeclared, and the other one was Freddy vs. Jason.
Okay, so terrible things. And this is the point where we mentioned Milton says look, I'm taking you off the case. And that whole conversation, we mentioned it before, but this is that talk.
Yeah.
Done near Columbus Circuit. Apparently, it's so funny that everything in this movie kind of revolves places I've been in. When they go down the subway the first time, and Kevin kind of looks at Milton, it's like, don't you have like a limo? He doesn't say it, but don't you have some sort of a ride? Subway.
No, that's the best thing, because he goes, no, learn the subways, always go underground. It's the best way to get around and no one will find you.
And so and they don't see Now, there was a sequence that was planned and not executed of them going down as if to mimic Dante's descent into another circle of hell. That was the inspiration.
That was Virgil who escorted Dante, correct? I do believe so. In the Divine Comedy. Yeah.
That whole bit, what they tried to mirror it did not work, and it didn't fit with the entire theme of the movie. It kind of was out of place, and it was too much on the nose. Was cut even before it was shot.
It only would have been more funny if they had a head of security whose name was Virgil, who was played by the wrestler Virgil, who actually escorted them down the subway.
Rest in peace. So Eddie Barzoon runs, catches Kevin in the thing, yells at him for the whole Weaver thing, and the fact that he's going to be a partner replacing him.
Well, no, because he put them on the partner charter. It's like, how did you get this so fast? Like, are you trying to place me? If so, don't fucking try to double back on me. Do it to my face. It's like, oh, well, maybe next time the Weaver Commission comes around, then I'll answer the phone this time.
Exactly. And of course, while he was running, we have a sort of a triple shot, actually. One is Kevin talking to Milton wearing that green robes, like I said. Second one is Mary Ann kind of half sensing that stuff is going down.
Sensing or seeing. It's very odd with the way that it's shot.
It's a really, to me, it's sort of a Hitchcockian kind of a scene to me, to be absolutely fair, where they have some sort of a narration going on one side, and then the two different cuts.
Snap cut?
Snap cut together. Yeah.
No, now that you mentioned, that really does remind me of Rear Window. That really does. Yeah. No, because that I could see that snap cut. Yeah.
It's a real kind of a weird triple montage. It's not going back and forth from Milton into Eddie's killing. It actually involves Mary Ann either sensing, seeing, hallucinating that entire attack
or
and going completely nuts.
Given the fact that of Milton's powers, as it were, he was forcing her to see it.
And of course, back to the Cullen case, and before we do our second game of the night, when Kevin is prepping the assistant, where the kind of laid down the fact that she has an affair, the whole point of if she has an affair with you, you were not able to be in the murder scene because you were off doing something else somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which gives reasonable doubt, which says, I can't pin you on the murder.
Yeah.
And he asks her a very important question. Which is
he circumcised?
Is he circumcised or not? And she does not give him an answer. The answer he was looking for, which is yes.
Yes
or
no.
What kind of a yes is it? Because she says yes, but it's like, what yes?
No, she doesn't
is he
say
or isn't
no. He doesn't say anything. So is he cut? She does not provide an answer. She's like, well, you can take your stupid question and shove them up your ass. That's when he goes, oh, this is all a ruse. He fucking did it.
Yes. And this is the same moment he had with Getty.
Getty's with the hand motion.
With the hand underneath the table. That moment where he realizes, oh shit, I'm defending a guilty man. And he is extremely upset yet again. And we will continue after our second game of the night, which is Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take 10 not 10 posts. Screen Fighter is where we pit two movies together and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good or both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the girls, out with the good boys, out with your significant other. Two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? Chapter participation is most welcome on this one. Birdman and Wayne's World. Cast your votes.
That's unfair. Birdman's a great movie, but it's always gonna be Wayne's World. Come on. Party time, excellent, buddy.
Is it or is it not the best SNL based movie? SNL based means it was originally a skit and now it's a movie.
Yeah, it is. It has to be.
Correct. I love Birdman. Not. Oh, nice.
Okay. Now, also two great posters for two great horror classics.
Very classics. Romero's first movie? First of the Living Dead movies, essentially. Night of the Living Dead and John Carpenter's Halloween. Feelings. You're the horror expert.
You already know my go-to.
I do not.
Halloween. It's one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's why when we did Horror Month for the first time, Halloween was the first film we'd ever did. Because Halloween it still stands up. Night of the Living Dead, classic, but oh my god, it's a fucking slog.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Halloween. One reason, and I think you know what it is. I don't like zombie movies. I don't like slow zombies. I don't like fast zombies. I don't like The Walking Dead. It is not the show for me. I'm not saying it's bad. It is just not for me because of zombies. I don't like zombie movies. It's not for me. I'm going to go with Halloween.
And if I remember correctly, you actually enjoyed Halloween.
I did. There are lots of horror movies that I enjoy. It's just not my favorite genre. All right.
Okay.
Now
we're going to fight now.
Talk. Get Shorty or Back to the Future Part 3?
You want me to go?
I can go first if you want.
No, shoot.
You know I'm a big fan of Back to the Future.
Yep.
Back to the Future 3, you cannot watch without Back to the Future Part 2.
Correct.
Which is a little bit of an issue. It's an issue with every trilogy that you tell a continuous story. Okay? As a standalone movie, it's not as good as 2, definitely not as good as 1.
No.
Get Shorty is a really smart movie. A really smart movie about the movie making business.
Correct.
I would pick Get Shorty between those two in a vacuum on a random Friday evening.
I am pleasantly surprised because mine's Get Shorty. It's like all day, every day. I really did not like Back to the Future Part 3. Did not care for it at all.
I mean, I like Back to the Future Part 3. Don't get me wrong. But as a standalone movie, in front of Get Shorty, I would probably pick Get Shorty. That's why I picked it.
It's okay, DK. Kitsune is typically right.
All right. We'll do the last pairing because we do have quite a bit to go.
A little bit left to go, yeah.
Come on. It'll give me 2 movies and then it'll switch.
There we go.
Okay. This is easy. It is Enter the Dragon. So the pairing is Enter the Dragon or My Girl.
Enter the Dragon, obviously, unless you want to see Macaulay Culkin get killed by bees for some reason. I don't know. And also, this is super easy too. The Last Starfighter, because I hate musicals.
Same for the same reason.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the last one. I swear. When Harry Met Sally or National Treasure, Book of Secrets. That's National Treasure Part 2.
Yeah.
It's easier than I thought. It's When Harry Met Sally because it's the best rom-com movie of all time.
I wholeheartedly agree. In fact, this film and also As Good as It Gets, before we started doing the podcast, not in my top 50. They are now.
It's weird how things happen.
Yeah.
It's really weird how things kind of roll by. All right, I'm going to move on ahead. Where was I? So Eddie Barzoon gets killed. We have that whole blowout with the
only good thing about that was before is Milton's monologue about Eddie Barzoon and him being God's special creature. And about how the world is now just filled with Eddie Barzoons, millions of people who have their own self-inflated ego, and he even says the quote, "Maybe God threw the dice one too many times."
Now, the whole point with Alex Collins' trial, there are moments within the courtroom, but you don't actually see too much back and forth as you would in, I don't know, Law and Order or My Cousin Vinny. So it's not really a courtroom drama.
Yeah, there's no cross-examination really. There's like the only kind that even was shown at all was at the very beginning with Barbara. The only kind of cross-examination really.
And the only point where you see inside the courtroom is actually when they kind of skip over the whole prosecution side, because the judge kind of faces Kevin as like, Mr. Lomax, you may start your defense. It was like, wait a minute, what about the prosecution?
Yeah.
And the whole point is
they did show the prosecution at the very beginning at the initial opening, the opening arguments.
Yeah, but the whole point is they kind of skipped over this little things called evidence and stuff.
But it was the major issue was the fact that it was, again, a test that Lomax failed because he's sitting there going, well, hey, go with your gut on the way on the subway there to the trial, where he says, listen, I'll back you either way. Go with your gut. And what does Kevin do? Well, I don't want to lose.
Yeah, he molded over.
Melissa Black to the stand.
Yeah, and he knew if he called the secretary, she would lie. And he have to go with the lie because I do not lose.
Yeah.
Which is Lomax's theme throughout is like, okay, we have a junction. We have a choice.
No,
what is the choice? And he always goes with, I will not lose. That's the most important thing.
Well, again, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, because Satan's Lucifer, the morning star's major sin was pride, his vanity, and that's Lomax's, his pride.
And he projects his own vanity and pride on man. He thinks that humans are like him.
Correct.
Even though he kind of says it's God's precious creatures, kind of
God's special little creatures. Yeah. Well, that, and also it's God's big old gag reel. That's for the ending monologue. We got 20 minutes left, so let's
yeah, we have to get to the monologue. So
we have the funeral with
Marianne gets. She says that Milton assaulted her, but Kevin is like, Milton was me throughout the day in the courtroom. No what are you talking about? And then she kind of takes off her covers, or like her duvet cover
over, and then she's just like,
and it's like she is like full on with cuts and everything.
And she does literally the way her legs are even at crossed angled, and puts her arms up like that.
Yeah,
Christ-like pose.
Yeah, I can't really show it because she's naked.
The crucifixion. No, but then Christabella does that when she takes her dress off later, where it's like, ooh, digging that cut. Ooh, that's
And I don't have the specific moment, but in Eddie Barzoon's funeral, right before we go into that entire rant, Cullen is sitting with his stepdaughter, and he is, putting his hand behind her back, seemingly, very innocent. And then with his thumb,
like rubbing up and down
where her bra is. And Kevin is like, oh my God, that's why he killed his wife. That's why. It wasn't the money. It wasn't anything. He was just fucking the daughter, and probably the wife found out, and he just killed her. And this is just inferred. He doesn't say it. We are meant to think.
But we do have that little cut aside, because he looks away, and it's Getty's face over Cullen, because it's just implying that they are one and the same in that way.
Yeah, essentially. And that moment where Milton goes into the church, but he doesn't go all the way in, and he
stops and puts his finger
inside the holy water.
Holy water, and it burns. It's like, that's a great touch. That's a great touch.
Now,
and it's during that conversation while that's happening, while Milton's in the church, you have Kevin being confronted by Weaver outside from the Weaver Commission about like how it's all like, oh yeah, well, Eddie was going to testify with us and everything, because it's all shells and everything. That the entire organization's corrupt from the ground up. And also, I looked into you. Remember that Getty's case that you had?
Yeah.
That eighth grade teacher, he was found with a 10-year-old girl's dead body in his trunk.
Meaning, we know you defended an actual guilty person, and now he is full-on guilty.
Yeah.
But he could have prevented that, which this is what, again, it's all implied. Everything is implied. And after the whole episode with Marianne, he puts in a mental hospital, and his mother kind of comes into the rescue. And this is a full reversal, where at the start she was disapproving of his entire relationship with Marianne, and now that she sees what happened to her, she's like, she's on her side more than Kevin's side, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, well, because Kevin has succumbed to temptation. He's fallen,
and of course this is the point where, when everything is at a very low point, she's like, how about I put it even lower.
So how about I just ruin your entire concept of being right now by telling who your dad is? Like,
yes.
Oh.
And she mentions the fact that she was in New York when she was a child, or not child, but a young woman, and she succumbed to temptations in the big city, kind of explaining the fact that she is like, oh, New York is full of debauchery and all that stuff, because she actually experienced that. And she made the mistake.
The only thing I'm thinking right now is if they were able to do a CGI cutback of her as a younger girl, and you have Milton looking as Al Pacino in like Carlito's Way.
Carlito's Way.
Yeah. Younger Al Pacino. So,
I mean, Carlito's Way is like 3 years removed from this movie. 4 years?
Oh, I'm thinking
Carlito's Way is 1993.
Still would have worked.
You mean Serpico? Maybe.
Yeah, you're right, Serpico.
Like 75. Anyway.
Hey, to be fair, when I was having those, you have those moments when you think about it, you're like, hey, thinking about which we were in. Wait, Al Pacino wasn't Donnie Brasco. No, that was Serpico.
No, he wasn't Donnie Brasco and Serpico.
Yeah, but he was the older one in Donnie Brasco.
He was the Johnny Depp role in Serpico. Never mind. But of course, Milton's minion is doing
Pam.
Milton's bidding.
Of course, her name is Pam. You know my feelings about the name Pam.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We had the long talks about that one too. And essentially, Marianne sees Pam in the mirror, full on demon mode. She goes crazy. She breaks the mirror. She pushes Pam outside. She goes all crazy, and she cuts herself from ear to ear, essentially.
A very big grin under the neck, put it that way.
Yes, a very red grin, a red smile, as we say. And then, of course, we had that final confrontation.
Yes. We have, well, what's great too is Pam is outside. You look so terrified. Don't worry about it. Then we have the empty streets as he goes to confront Milton. This is like, what'd you do to my wife? Well, out of what? 10 being the most depraved sexual acts you could ever think of? Or one being a Friday night at the Lomax estate?
Yeah.
I say I did her about a 7. Shot. Oh, yeah. Shoot, let that rage out. Because it's the last thing to go.
This is absolutely amazing. This shot, I couldn't even believe that is a real shot. I essentially thought, where the crossroads are? I thought that's where the actual street ended, and the rest is like background or superimposed. Nope. Actual shot. I could not believe that they actually made this thing happen. But yeah, it is what it is. A cold December morning. And my wife said it. She said, this is a real street, and this is either early morning or like late afternoon, evening, something like that, just because of the shadow. And I said, well, I agree with you, but the background could not be this empty. They cannot close out Manhattan. This is I didn't know it was 57th Street, but they cannot close this Manhattan. Even in 97, it would be so expensive.
Yeah.
So expensive. Now, the budget for this movie was $60 million. So
did they make like 200 something back too as well?
Worldwide, they made about 60 domestic and another 92 on top of that worldwide.
Okay.
So it was a decently profitable movie.
ROI,
Remember, we're talking about at the age of like 4, 5, 6 months after that, you've got like home video. So they made their money back. And the runtime was from November until February. It was in theaters.
Yeah.
So Yeah, they made their money back for sure. He goes out, he shoots Milton a couple of times, like, and he's using another setup and payoff.
No, he goes like, no, where he goes, you're my dad. He goes, I'm a little bit more than that.
Yeah. The whole point is,
Satan, no, call me dad.
Call me dad. Call me daddy. The thing about this, and I've seen comments about this, where did he get the gun from? Dude,
no, it's shown in there.
He got it from
Cullen. He got it because he took Cullen's gun away from him.
Took Cullen's gun away from him. He even opened up the magazine to look at the bullets. For a split second, you see it.
Yeah.
You don't see him rack it back, but essentially,
Obviously,
he took his gun away from him. So essentially, Kevin has an unregistered or a registered gun, but it's not registered to him. On him the entire time.
Yeah. That, or did he go back and get the gun?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, because there's missing bits there, but anyway, he had Alexander Cullen's gun regardless. But so
regardless, he had his gun.
This is the best part about it is basically it is Milton's condemnation of
God,
and
this is lifted off of Paradise Lost.
Yes, very much.
This is lifted off of any scripture or any book depicting the fallen angel Lucifer and his gripe, not his essentially his what's the word? His theory about what God is and what he's supposed to be in relation to human beings. And to me, it's in here, they do kind of a role reversal because the whole point of God essentially is God gave or bestowed man with free will to choose. Follow me and go to heaven, and not follow me and go to hell.
Too was also, but he says as though like, but he also gave him the instinct to do absolutely the antithesis of his entire design.
Yeah,
like
look, but don't touch.
Touch, but don't taste. Taste, don't swallow.
Don't swallow. I love that. It is so good. Essentially, it is the apple.
Because how he said,
if
like,
you look at it,
it's because he even puts it as it's just God setting up there is his own private gag reel.
Yeah.
He is an absentee landlord.
This is one of the greatest rants in movies of all time.
It's fantastic,
regardless of the subject matter.
Yeah.
Regardless of the subject matter, where you fall, what you think about it, doesn't matter.
It is the verve and the way it's given is the fact where, again, you almost have sympathy for the devil, which we're going to get to in a minute.
Yes, we're going to get to in a minute.
But how he puts it where he eventually ends up revealing Christabella as his stepsister.
His half-sister, stepsister. I think, yeah. The whole point is, and he did mention, I've sired a number of children.
All of them have been
disappointments.
But also the like again, this one is still something that I like to just say out loud every now and then, just because it's perfect to say. I'm a fan of man.
And that's the whole point. Is the whole point of Lucifer? If we, going up top and looking at the whole picture, is Lucifer uses man to flaunt why God is mistaken.
It's wrong. Yeah.
Is wrong. But the whole point is like he twists the whole free will thing in this movie because of God, because of what I said, where God gave people free will and the devil is using it against man in order to prove a point to God.
Yeah. It's in so many ways, it's like the tale of Job.
It's exactly the tale of Job.
Just a reverse theme where instead of being constantly plagued by poxes, you're given exactly what you want.
Yeah. And this is the moment where he's like, I told you, Kevin, didn't I tell you? You can walk away. But you'll lose.
No,
I'm a lawyer.
Kevin says like, "Wow, that's a whole bit though. It's free will." He's like, "Free will is a bitch." You're like, so are we negotiating? Again, always. So again, he gives the entire spiel of what he can provide and everything. And I think really, it's really getting to the point where Kevin's about to go for it. If it weren't for the fact that Christabella and his father were mocking the death of his wife, because they do it several times where he's almost into it and then they mock Marianne's death, where it's like, maybe if Pops would have just shut his pie hole.
maybe I can't really show anything else because A, you've got a naked lady, and B, you've got a guy with a gun shooting his brains out.
Yeah. So but we have that where they got there at the end where it goes free will, right?
Yes.
Because he even asked Christabella, "What about love?" Well, and even Milton says, because it's true, biochemically no different than eating large quantities of chocolate.
Which is essentially, that's wrong, but we'll put that aside.
It's nearly true, but because you have the same dopamine release. But anyway, so then it's then when Christabella says, "Don't worry, in a minute or so you will never think about Marianne again." Then it's like, oh, so free will, right? Bang. And then that's when it goes in that slow-mo bit where the sculpture gets set on fire, and it's basically like Satan giving his full release of his form. And which I found really interesting too was they did use the Dante Alighieri version of Satan at the end when he turned blue, because in the Inferno, the 9th level in hell where Satan is permanently residing, is a frozen hellscape.
Which is weird because what you think about hell is like death and burning and lava and it's all hot and shit. But it can also be the coldest place on earth.
Yeah.
Because it's equally as disturbing and not fun.
Yeah.
But
and then we have
this is essentially Lucifer the fallen angel.
Yeah.
Which is, like we said, a mixture of young Al Pacino and current Keanu Reeves. But it's a great shot, which puts it right back around into the start of the movie.
Because the flashback to him in the courtroom bathroom.
It's not a flashback. It's essentially it's as if he was woken up from a dream, but he remembers the entire dream as if he lived a full life, and then he's like, okay.
Now, this is something that is
like
really
playback.
Interesting that I wanted to pose as a question to you, because that was one iteration of the set of circumstances. Do you think if the devil was able to recreate the same kind of circumstances over and over and over again, how many iterations has he ran through with Kevin Lomax?
Not to toot my own horn, this is exactly what they explored in Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions.
Oh yeah, no, that's kind of an idea. Yeah. With the one,
the entire difference is in this one, supposedly he's not the Antichrist, but he's a facilitator.
He's the proponent of it. Yeah, he's the catalyst.
Sort of like Mammon. Mammon is son of Satan, but he's not the Antichrist. Essentially, and in the Matrix, Neo is the equivalent of Jesus. it's on the same path. But yeah, this is another,
iteration,
another iteration, and another
how many
test,
iterations
and another
has he
test.
ran through every now and then? Because honestly, you have to think, if he were to be back in that place, would he just punch Larry in the face after he walked? Because again, they're in the bathroom outside of the Getty trial, and even Larry says the whole bit where, hey, nobody went all.
Yep.
And he recuses himself as being the defendant lawyer.
No,
and
he recuses himself from being the lawyer, but he does it in the manner of, he is so egregious of actually saying it publicly to the judge.
Yes.
That he could be disbarred, and he knows he can be disbarred.
Yeah.
And the report is like, "Oh, this is a major story. What about your streak?" Blah, 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 blah.
No. It's because he's massaging his ego, his pride, his vanity.
Yes.
Again, which was Lucifer's major sin. So it kind of the circle back where it's like, listen, no, give me an interview, and the cut where Larry turns into the devil and vanity.
Yeah,
definitely my favorite.
My favorite sin.
And the cut to the Rolling Stone song.
And then it cuts to the credits with the wrong fucking song. Well, I don't remember what the name of the song is.
It's Painted Black.
Painted Black. That is.
It's a good song. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, Sympathy for the Devil. You're paying for the rights for a Rolling Stone song. Why would you not just get Sympathy for the Devil?
And like you said backstage, the lyrics of Sympathy for the Devil actually fit within the confines of the story that they were trying to tell in this movie.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I said to my wife. And you mentioned it backstage. And I was like, we're so simpatico here, because it's exactly what I said. As soon as the credits rolled up, I didn't even remember it was a Rolling Stones song, but then it came on and it fit. And I said to my wife, I was like, man, they should have used the other song. And she said, what song? It's like Sympathy for the Devil. And she said, wait, what was it? And I had to play it for her. And she's like, yeah, it's fine. Doesn't matter. It's like, God damn it, woman.
No, it would have been.
It really is a missed opportunity. But, it is what it is. 2 hours and 23 minutes.
That's soup to nuts with credits, without credits.
With credits, with everything.
Without credits,
it's a long movie.
2:18 without credits. So,
it's a long movie. A lot could have been cut.
Yeah, there's a lot
could have been cut. It's a small little nitpicky gripe for me, but an amazing movie. I like those questions of God and Lucifer. Even though I'm not really Christian, I like the whole idea of free will. Let's just say I'm not a great believer in a deity. I do believe there's something out there. That's my own personal belief. What it is, I can't define. You want to say God, you go ahead, say God. You want to say whatever. The fact that you have free will, and free will has more to do with morality rather than deity or faith, because in your day-to-day, your choices could lead you down a bad, we'll call it a bad moral avenue, which affects real people in your life, real people that, tangentially get affected from second, third hand, from your choice. And every single one of us has a choice, and everything kind of molds together in a way. I like that. I like the fact that I do have free will to choose not to do a thing, which is more powerful than to actually choose to do a thing. Abstaining something regardless of what it is just as equally as powerful as actually choosing to do so. And this is what essentially is the theme of the movie, as Tony Gilroy put it out. And it kind of settles. It gave the novel a theme that the novel really didn't quite have, or had, but couldn't quite make it into something visual. And that kind of a theme was real important. It was really what kind of drew me to the movie, rewatching it again and again. Yeah, that's what I have. I just love the acting because it's just superb. It's just superb.
I would say that, as we discussed before, I think it has one of Al Pacino's best performances of his entire career. It's very underrated. I think Keanu Reeves was actually fantastic in it, which is, at that time, even then, he was kind of considered a joke actor. And but he showed some real gravitas there, and this was one of the first films with Charlize Theron, really.
Yeah. By the way, he was 31. Keanu was 31. She was 21.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they look the same age.
Well, Keanu is immortal. We all know that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I would say it's a great film, regardless of, given your issues with potential religious conflicts. I would
don't
say
have
watch
any issues
it
with. I don't
more
have
of
any
an allegory story than anything else. It's more of just how someone could easily find themselves in a situation they were not accounting themselves for, and doing the wrong thing too many times in order to make themselves feel validated as a person. Because that's really the story of Kevin Lomax outside of the devil issue.
Underlying issue in Constantine, you had the same underlying theme. It was just not so overt.
Yes.
It's what Constantine chooses eventually that causes things to happen.
Correct, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And it's every time you have the God versus Lucifer thing, that free will get addressed in one way or another.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it next week. Because next week we are going a little bit obscure, which is fine, but we love to have a little bit of obscure movies. Another movie dealing with the devil. This time it's not Pacino. This time it's De Niro.
Yeah.
With a little movie called Angel Heart. Now, I know most of you have never heard about Angel Heart, but it is De Niro and Mickey Rourke, and I have not seen this movie in a long, long time. Last time I've seen this movie, the digits on the calendar did not say 20 on them. It says 19. But we'll put that aside. It's I think 86, 88 movie. It's even before Mickey Rourke has his face reconstructed.
Yeah. That was that was before he started to be a boxer too. That was a whole
before.
It was 87. Yeah,
87.
It's
all right.
It's an interesting film, but yeah, we'll discuss.
It's much more of an artsy film than this one.
Yes,
we'll touch upon that. The movie has issues. Let's just say that. But
there are a lot of issues. Angel Heart has more of a Faustian bit too, where that's kind of different, but yeah, we'll discuss it.
Let's say that it is very different from this movie, very different from Constantine in theme and in what they were trying to go for. So go catch. You probably can catch it free on Tubi, if I'm not mistaken. You maybe even catch it free on YouTube. I haven't even checked. But go watch it.
Actually, in the States, you have to rent it, or you can get it from, I think it's Hoopla. Is it like some really weird, random off streaming channel I've never heard of before?
Well,
I was doing research for it earlier today, and I'm like, what the hell is Hoopla?
All right. Try and catch the movie. Or you have to like take a boat and go sailing towards certain island. But go watch it in any way you can, and come back to us when we'll talk about it. And remember, guys, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. We'll see you next week.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.